1932, Australia faced an enemy unlike any it had seen before. Fast, feathered, relentless, and completely, utterly ridiculous. But here's the insane part. The enemy wasn't human. It was birds. Giant, flightless birds, known as emus, that somehow defeated trained soldiers with machine guns. Yes, you heard that right. This is the story of the Emu War, one of history's most embarrassing military operations, where the humans lost to birds. And if you think that's a joke, keep listening. It only gets worse. To understand how this disaster happened, we need to start with post-World War I Australia. Returning soldiers were given farmland in Western Australia as part of a government program. It seemed like a good plan. After all, these men had survived the horrors of war, and now they would grow wheat to feed the nation. Except, life had other ideas. The Great Depression hit hard. Wheat prices crashed. Farmers were desperate. Every acre of wheat mattered. Every bushel counted. And then came the uninvited guests, emus. Thousands of them. Over 50,000 of these massive, 6-foot-tall, feathered behemoths started migrating toward the farmland in search of food and water. They didn't care about fences, property lines, or human authority. They were nature's bulldozers, and the wheat fields were their playground. Imagine surviving World War I, only to return home and face giant chickens with serious attitudes. The farmers tried everything, shouting, scaring, chasing. Nothing worked. The emus didn't retreat, didn't scatter, didn't negotiate. They simply ate, ran, and multiplied. It was clear the humans were outmatched. The farmers pleaded with the government for help, and the government, well, they didn't hesitate. They called in the army. Yes, soldiers trained in trench warfare, artillery, and disciplined strategy were now assigned to a new enemy, birds. Birds that didn't carry weapons, but could outrun, outsmart, and survive the humans' best efforts. Major Meredith was put in charge of the operation. A veteran of World War I, Meredith believed this would be an easy task. How hard could it be to exterminate birds? Spoiler alert, it was very hard. It's important to note here that the soldiers' training did not include instructions for how to kill a bird that runs faster than your truck. November 2nd, 1932. The first official military engagement begins. Soldiers spot a flock of emus drinking at a dam, the perfect ambush. 2 Lewis machine guns are set up, 10,000 rounds of ammo loaded. Confidence is high. Victory seems inevitable. Then the emus run, and not in neat lines. They scatter in every direction at speeds up to 30 miles per hour. Bullets fly, dust clouds rise, feathers scatter, and the soldiers hit nothing. Soldiers realized quickly that the birds were faster, smarter, and, quite frankly, more coordinated than they had expected. One can almost imagine the emus smirking behind their beaks. By the end of the first day, only a handful of emus had fallen. The humans, on the other hand, had lost a huge amount of ammo and a little dignity. Learning from their initial failure, Major Meredith devised a new plan: mount a machine gun on a truck to chase the emus. The idea seemed foolproof. The execution, not so much. The truck bounced over the rough terrain like a pinball. The gunner couldn't aim. Meanwhile, the emus ran in zigzags, leapt obstacles, and dodged bullets with alarming skill. Picture a truck careening across the outback, bullets flying, humans sweating, and birds casually outpacing it. This was not a battle, it was slapstick on a national scale. Days turned into weeks. Soldiers continued firing thousands of rounds. Yet, emus continued to roam the wheat fields, eating, running, and multiplying. Some birds seemed to act as lookouts while others fed. Guerrilla warfare, but with feathers. Newspapers had a field day. Headlines mocked the military. One wrote, "Army fails against fowl." Politicians were humiliated. The public laughed. And the emus? They kept winning. Even Major Meredith admitted defeat privately. The birds were too fast, too scattered, and far too resilient for conventional warfare. This was a war humans could not win. Let's talk statistics. The military fired over 10,000 rounds. Only 986 emus were confirmed killed. That's roughly 10 bullets per bird, not exactly efficient. And remember, these birds were 6 feet tall, armored in feathers, and completely fearless. The soldiers had the guns, the training, the experience, and they still lost. Embarrassing? Absolutely. The scale of the failure was so public that it became a source of ridicule for years. In modern terms, it was a viral moment before viral moments existed. After repeated failures, the government finally called off the operation. Soldiers withdrew. Farmers were left to protect their crops on their own. The emus continued to thrive. The Emu War officially ended in human defeat, and it became a symbol of how arrogance, poor planning, Overrunning and underestimating your enemy can lead to absolute disaster. Lesson learned: if you see a 6-foot-tall bird waddling your way, it's probably smarter than you think. The story spread beyond Australia. Newspapers worldwide mocked the military. Cartoons depicted emus defeating soldiers with ease. Politicians were embarrassed. Farmers shook their heads. Some argued that the Emu War highlighted poor decision-making and unrealistic expectations. Others saw it as proof that nature always finds a way to humble humanity. The public reaction was unanimous. It was hilarious, absurd, and unforgettable. Eventually, the government stopped using guns and instead built fences to protect crops. Simple, effective, and shockingly efficient. The emus? They continued to roam the outback, unconcerned with human politics. The military retreated, their dignity in tatters, and the story entered history books not as a victory, but as a cautionary tale. Sometimes, survival is the only victory you can hope for, especially if your enemy has feathers and legs designed for speed. The Emu War is remembered today as one of history's strangest conflicts. It teaches several lessons. Never underestimate your enemy. Machines, bullets, and strategy are meaningless without understanding the battlefield. Nature doesn't negotiate. And finally, emus are undefeated champions. They survived an entire army and lived to eat another day. The Emu War also reminds us of human hubris. We tend to overcomplicate solutions, underestimate the obvious, and assume superiority. Sometimes, a bird just needs to run. So next time you see an emu, or any wild animal, really, remember 1932. Remember the farmers, the soldiers, the thousands of bullets, and the birds who simply refused to lose. The Emu War is more than a funny story. It's a lesson in humility, absurdity, and respect for nature. And if you ever feel like you're losing a battle you shouldn't even be in, just think, at least you're not Australia, fighting birds with machine guns, and losing. The emus defeated an army. Yeah, an army. Don't let them defeat you. Smash that subscribe button for more weird facts before the emus strike again.